Hello, I'm Dale Matthews, and you're not, and neither is Mike Jones. Mike?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not Dale Matthews either.
Right, see, so you have that in common right off the bat.
Right,
That's great,
exactly.
yes, right, right.
Yes, I'm connecting with my audience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right. It's
Uh,
this is just one more of the things that I have in common with them.
Mike's got that going for him, so that's a good thing.
Mm,
So today is
yes.
Thursday. Thursday's when all the action takes place with the Board of County Commissioners for at least the last couple of years, except for today. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it had to happen eventually. There were only two commissioners there, and this was the shortest Thursday administration meeting in 2 years.
Oh, so that means we get to go home early tonight? Is that
Well,
it?
that means all of our many fans who watch this show can now turn it off and go watch Dancing with the Stars. I don't know, something, whatever it is that you guys do on Thursday. No, we'll make this interesting for you as much as it always is. Click. Yeah, okay. So um, there were a few things that happened at today's meeting. This really surprising thing to me is there's not a single meeting that goes by. It's not just us. There's not a single meeting that goes by where there isn't something where you go, what? Okay, and one of them was, remember how the commissioners had decided that they simply weren't going to talk about giving people raises or new hires? They could stop doing it, but they're not going to do that. They're just not going to talk about it in public anymore. Well, today, for some reason, they sort of broke their own rule on themselves, and they talked about hiring a new person. Woohoo! You know, our budget must be so much better than we ever have thought, because now they're going to hire another person. Yay!
Well, maybe it's because they have such a great anticipation. I mean, because of this levy being so much different than all the ones that have come before it, maybe they foresee some new money coming in, and they want to find some place to put it.
It's interesting to me that although they may say things at the weekly business session about this, in the little back room with the sheriff there today, nobody seemed to be optimistic about the levy.
Mm. So they actually discussed the levy then.
A little bit, yeah. And Mike, could you talk for a moment while I sneeze or something here?
Sure, sure. Yes, I quite often talk while Dale sneezes. I see that he is getting ready to sneeze, and he gives me the sneeze signal. And this is the a Phil vamp, which I'm not very good at.
No,
So
no, that looks panicky. So no, I'm trying not to look panicky at this time.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not sure which is worse, me panicking on air or you actually sneezing.
well, I don't sneeze on air. So
Right.
then Scott Chansey came in and talked about transit. He has to tell them occasionally when things are happening and kind of keeps them apprised of what's going on with this department, which is great. Scott Chansey does a real good job with county government. If only all the departments were run by Scott Chansey,
Mm.
well, then he'd be a dictator, and so
Yeah,
what would be
that's
the difference between him and
yeah.
the
Here's the
commissioners?
headline: Dale Matthews advocating dictatorship as a fix for Josephine Kenny. Yeah.
No, I don't advocate any kind of taters, baked, fried, or otherwise. Then the one thing that I thought was interesting, it better be Dale, was that the finance director came in and he indicated to the commissioners that he has not quite gotten around to issuing a request for quotations, an RFQ,
Mm.
to move ahead with the idea of what the heck we're going to do with that property where the Dimmick Tower was taken down. Oh, let's see if
Mm.
I've got this straight. You spent all this time and this money demolishing this building, made a big hoopla about it. Why? This is the greatest thing that this set of commissioners has ever done. They've torn down a building. Now, leave aside the fact that in many other cities that happens every day, several times a day, whether the city asks for it to be torn down or not, sometimes by the residents, or it's burned down. In our case, we tore down a building. Wow, that's amazing. But they don't have any plans at all, have not before they started, did not in the middle of the project, still don't have any plans. about what they're going to do with that property. No plans. No plans. And they haven't even asked anybody yet for their plans. Is this not the perfect symbol of this administration?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, how long's this been in the pipeline?
Oh, it's been, what, a year and a
Couple,
half, I think?
yeah.
Yeah. No plans.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
tearing something down with no plans for what to do afterwards sounds vaguely like Mike and I, except we do have some plans for what to do afterwards. Don't say that we don't, because we do. And now, following
after
up...
tearing what,
teacher?
Yes,
Everything.
ask a question.
Everything. We just wanted,
yes,
yes,
that's right.
we're here to tear everything down.
Right.
And now that we've done that, and we've
our minions are already sowing the seeds of hate and discontent.
That's right.
So we don't have to deal with that aspect.
No, because they're
the
being bussed in from California, right? And it's part of the black numbers. Oh, it's not racist at all.
No, it's dark
numbers. They're coming from places like Compton and Oakland, but it's not race-based at all. They're coming right over the border. Go ahead.
So wait just a second here. So, since they're dealing with that part of it,
yes.
What is it that we're doing again to accomplish
what we're doing is we're providing a bad business environment, and by putting up badcounty.com, we're actually literally chasing people away, as Cheryl Walker said at that weekly business session. Believe me, I've talked with so many companies that aren't even going to consider having anybody move here because of badcounty.com. It's a tragedy if you look at it.
Right. So I'm just, as you're speaking right now, I'm updating the mission statement, and I just wanted to make sure the verbiage is correct. So the minions are sowing the seeds of hate and discontent.
Yeah, we're going to create a dominion of minions. That's right.
Yes,
right. Millions and millions of minions in our dominion. So one of the things that's happening is they're tearing down the community, while Mike now will present you his plan for building it back up. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Well, it is one of the things that we're going to need to discuss. What now? Please, not now. One of the things that was the audience. One of the things that we're going to discuss at some point here, one of these days into the future, we'll start thinking like the commissioners are doing. Now that we've torn everything down, what are we going to put in its place? One of the things we're not going to put in its place is raising your property tax. Now, whether you are brilliant or a lunkhead, you've said very clearly, without even spending $25,000 to poll you, this kind of polling you, you have made it clear that you don't want to do that. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, if you take that as a good commissioner, with both of us running for commissioner, we're not running for commissioner, but if both of us we're going to take that, which you said very clearly you don't like that. So we'll take that and put that over here. Okay? Or if you're from the other side of the aisle, you would take it and put it over here instead. And then, now what are you going to do? Okay, what's the number one thing in our county, besides cutting down all the trees, what's the number one thing that could potentially end up with a bunch of business for Josephine County? I will submit.
I know where you're going. Well, wait a minute. I didn't realize that Mark Seligman was going to be a guest on
I'm not saying that it has to be the green gold. How about the gold?
Okay.
We've got plenty of. In fact, some people say that we've got a surfeit, not enough surplus. We've got a bunch of minerals that and Gold Hill is named after this kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And I'm wondering if they have an entire hill of gold over there. I mean, why is that still such a podunk town? I mean, that should be like the Las Vegas of Southern Oregon.
Yeah, why is that, by the way? I went
They're
over there with.
hoarding it. That's what they're doing.
Yes, bro, they're acting like something. One of the things that I found is when I'm with a search and rescue group, and we went over there to do some kind of exercises, and we took some devices that help us find the hidden black box from the crashed airplane and stuff. We had a
Sure.
heck of a time finding it because of the mineral deposits that are just half an inch under the soil or whatever it is over there.
Oh,
I mean, they're just screaming at us, look here, look here, look here, and it's
wow.
making the instruments go kind of crazy. It's the Oregon vortex. I don't know what it is,
Right.
but the thing
Right.
is that, yeah, I mean, it's definitely there, and there are a number of people who say, well, we got aggregate. I just think I'd call it gravel. Does it need to call it aggregate really? And we've got these minerals here, including unobtainium and some of the other stuff that we've got buried in
Sure.
the ground here. Um,
Dilithium crystals.
Yes, yes. Well,
Yes.
Captain, I'm
Yes.
giving her all I got, and it's also true. Okay, people are click. It's
Yeah.
also true
No,
that
that was 5 minutes ago.
although occasionally some of the people involved in this, sometimes a little bit, Mark, talk a little too much about certain items. There is some truth to the fact that marijuana, medical marijuana, the kind that doesn't make you loopy.
Oh,
Too
come
late.
on.
Um, it it really is legal in the state of Oregon. It is a renewable resource for the green among you.
Mm.
It is easy to grow. It is somewhat similar to tall trees that you cut down, and oh, that was tall trees.
Right.
I'm cutting it down. Okay, it's somewhat
Yes.
similar to that. So, and the whole idea of pulling green chain, it takes on a whole new meaning. Um, Really,
Well,
are we just going to thumb our nose at this? Are we really?
well,
Really?
no. Listen, what also becomes legal here in, I think it's July, that
What,
um,
lying? Lying, they're already
no,
doing that.
no, hemp. No,
Oh, yeah.
July,
No, you said what
not
becomes legal in July, and obviously the commissioners would like
no.
lying to become legal anytime now. Yeah, go ahead.
So anyway, as I
They
was
excel at
saying,
that. Yes, go ahead.
as I was saying, uh, so hemp, and that's big business too. So,
Yeah.
and apparently hemp, you can harvest up to 3 times a year. So
Oh, and America's
there's a
rope
lot.
shortage is just screaming out.
Yeah, to be honest, there's always been this pushing of hemp products, and I don't really get that that's going to be a huge thing, and they'll have to convince me of that. So,
Yeah,
hey,
but
listen, if they can do it and it works and they make money, I'm fine with it. I don't care.
one of the things that's holding all of this back is that Cheryl Walker said this, and the other commissioners have nodded sagely along with her, that what is the use to the county, to county government, if people in our county, I'm not making this up, everybody, I'm not making it up. Cheryl Walker said, what is the use to county government if individual people or groups of people out there are striking it rich?
What is?
It
Well,
just
okay,
takes your breath away, doesn't it?
what's her point? Is her point that
Her point is that if
we
that,
need
let's
it to be
suppose
everybody?
yeah, let's suppose all the citizens of Cape Junction, as an example, became
Uh,
like what was that, Winnebago, wherever that was, what state, Wisconsin, Winnebago. What if they all became like that, and everybody out there is now a millionaire? That's no
hmm.
use to county government. That's a really stupid way of looking at things. Sorry to say that, but that's really dumb. I mean, of
Yeah.
course it benefits. It benefits everybody. They buy
Why?
things.
Yeah, but I don't understand why she would care. I mean, what is this? Is this some sort of a hate the rich sort of thing, some sort of
No,
a
no, it's not
class
that. No,
envy
no,
sort of
it's
thing.
inability to see the trees for the forest. The thing is that what she's saying is if they raise your property taxes, or if you help them raise your property taxes, what are you thinking? That money will go directly to the commissioners. It'll go directly to them.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if you're making a small fortune and hiring a bunch of people and bringing people into the area and hiring them, and you're all prosperous, why the benefits to the county will have to be kind of, it'll bounce off of one of the sides of the pool table and then come to them, and they would
Hmm.
rather that cue ball goes straight into the pocket.
Yeah.
Cue ball goes into the
Yeah.
pocket. Well, but that's short-sighted.
Yes.
If everybody makes more money, everybody will float face down. What's that saying? We'll all be floating face down in the river. No,
Yes.
it'll raise
No,
all
no, no, no.
boats. Yeah,
A rising tide raises all
burn that
boats.
bridge when we come to it. Yeah, that so.
Yeah.
Of course it's helpful. And besides, public servant, don't you want the public to have more money? No, I want more money. Yeah, well, this isn't the right symbol, but you get my idea.
Yeah. I think that we have an issue. There was an article that got posted in Josephine County Politics page today, and it talks about what the financial situation in the county is and what some potential fixes for it are,
Right.
and the suggestions that they had is, I mean, ultimately we have to get back into working in the forest, or it's in some way, kicking the federal government out of here. If you don't, what happens is that we continue to have the lesser employment situation, and then you stack a greater tax burden on top of this. I mean, you're going to turn this into a ghost town,
Well, as Sandy
eventually.
Casanelli always said, you cannot tax us into prosperity.
Right.
I'm a little nervous when I hear people say we got to get back into the forest. I understand you, brother. I
Yes.
understand you, but
Yes, you're one of the people who thinks that's done, it's gone,
no, I didn't say that.
it's
What I'm
forever.
saying is,
No, you know what? I think people need to start thinking outside the box, and that's an overused phrase, but if you're
yeah.
not willing to think big, if you're not willing to go in places where other people dare to go, then you're not going to fix this problem. This is going to be a backwater, hole,
You mean
for
more
the
than it
lack
is?
of a better term,
Yeah.
and it's just going to be this way, and it's not going to get fixed.
No, I'm talking
You
about
have
going
to.
back into
This
the
has to be
forest.
confronted.
It's not going to go back.
Marijuana is not going to fix us. It isn't. It just isn't.
Don't give me that bunny look of death.
Yes. Well, it's true. It just isn't going to fix us. And you have your people out there
That's
that
a
go,
huge
oh, this
cash
is
crop,
this is the okay. It's a huge cash crop.
and I'm not interested
So
in
are
the stuff.
blueberries, and they grow them in one part of the county, and good for them. But
So let's talk more about that kind of, if it turned around the kind of profit that marijuana could, then maybe we
Mhm,
should be talking about blueberries. What I was trying to say, not so well, is
mhm.
that saying let's go back into the forest and just turn the clock back is very similar to people in Nantucket or whatever said we got to get
Well,
back into that ocean and
oh,
harvest more whales. That's just not going to happen.
come on! This is not the same thing at all. We're talking about a renewable resource here.
That's
You
what they
know,
say.
Okay, but the bottom line is that we are restricted from cutting timber. And have you been outside lately? If you get in a plane and fly over this area, we're not experiencing a shortage of trees. This idea that somehow that if you cut a few trees now and then, it's going to destroy the forest and the ecosystem. That is just a crock.
I am with
Crock.
you on that. I have flown over the area many times because of the stuff that I do
All
with
right,
search and
sure.
rescue. And there are some areas that are completely denuded. Okay,
Okay.
you said to get
Yeah,
more people interested
some
in our show, we have to
areas.
talk a little sex. Okay, so we do have some denuded areas. Okay,
Okay.
and so that's true.
Yes.
There are
Little
other
teeny.
areas. There are other areas where it's growing back. Some of those areas don't. They all belong to all of us because we're all citizens. Some of those
Right.
areas are managed by
But
the
but
federal government
but
or by the
listen,
state.
the point is
Yes,
not that we get back into the forest, but that we remove from us this clamp that the federal government has on top of this county and the entire southern Oregon. It's their problem to deal with their own county, but I mean we should be speaking in strong terms to both officials in our state and at the federal level to get the heck out of here. Who do you think you are? Who do you think
yes.
you are? You're destroying our economy, and you're making it. You're the one who is making it that there are only a few possibilities for us to prosper. One is working in the forest or using the resources that are in this county, and
That's
you
one of them.
have your foot on that.
Right,
And
right.
if you it's so now the only resource that we have to run county government services is to take more out of the people, and the
I,
only reason why we have to do that is because you're doing what you're doing.
I'm not. I don't want people to think I'm disagreeing with you because I'm not.
Right.
What I'm saying is that at the moment we're a red dot in a big blue state. And so there's
Yes.
lots of parts of the state and in the United States that are not listening to us or paying the kind of attention. And we've got county commissioners. Number one here is Simon Hare, who could really be going to war with the United States, or really hitting them hard with the fact that they're abrogating a contract that they have with us.
Right.
This is serious stuff. They're abrogating that contract. Simon's not really interested in going to the
Yeah.
mat with these guys because he's got future aspirations, and this is going to kill his future aspirations. Really.
Right. No. Well, you know what, and he doesn't really see that this would lock his future down tight if he could deliver, such a thing for this area. It would be huge for him. But the I don't know. No, you know what? They don't have the guts to do this.
No, they don't have the guts to do this.
Yes, and
No, we,
and
we were at, I've mentioned this on the show, I think at least one time before. There was a time when there were some federal agencies coming here. There was the top guy in the agriculture department, as I recall, I hope I have this right, who was going to show up over in Jackson County and make a speech. And the commissioners talked for a couple of weeks about how they were going to go over there, buddy, and they were going to give this guy a piece of their mind. Well, they were going to go over there, they were going to represent us, and they were going to tell this guy in no uncertain terms in public, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and we're telling you we're going to give you a piece of our mind. Yeah, I know the joke. We're going to give you a piece of our mind. And when we went over there with them, no kidding, not for comedy purposes. They sat over in the corner, the three of them together, and sat on their hands and didn't say a word. And the
yeah,
only people who spoke up were a few of us citizens, and we did tell them what we thought about them abrogating this contract that they have with us. And the commissioners could not be counted on to do anything but glad hand these guys, shake their hands, and they said nothing. So
yeah.
that's what you're
Well,
going to do.
and this is my point. So the only option that's left is to further, is to take money from the people that they don't have. I mean, listen, the reason why the economy is not doing well in this country, people don't have money, and
That's a simple economic theory.
yeah, I mean, hello, that's the seventh grade version of it.
Yeah.
That the economy does better when people have money in their pockets, and they don't have
Well,
it.
that's
And
where
now
we
you're going to
started.
take more out of it, and guess
Yeah.
what's going to happen if you take more money out of people's pockets? Guess what's going to happen? Hello.
That's where this started, is what other kinds of things can we do? And one of them is minerals. Okay, there are very few people that have a religious objection to pulling minerals out of the ground. Okay, and we should be giving that more. In fact, all of the various things that have been suggested in this community, and one of them that does have some people opposing it mostly because of moral reasons, is something like a casino, and there's others that object to the idea of using this legal cash crop as any kind of income. But there are very few people who think there are people, but there are very few people that, for moral reasons, don't want to be doing mining in our area.
For
So,
moral reasons?
no, there are very few people who feel that way, that they would
Oh,
oppose mining.
all
Very
right.
few people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
maybe that
you
should
know
be
what? I
top of
mean,
our list. What's wrong with that?
and you said something earlier that I guess is not really confusing to me, but
Well, that's good.
it it
Hmm.
it bothers me a little bit. You said that this is, it's a red dot in an otherwise blue state. Well,
Yeah.
why does the party affiliation have anything to do with the economy here and people being desirous of it being good as opposed to crappy?
Nothing
Uh,
wrong
I,
with desiring that it be good, but if we're thinking that we're going to convince parts of the United States, including our own state, to go to bat for having the federal government follow through with this treaties, with the contracts that they've signed,
mhm.
they're just not going to do that if they're
Yeah,
interested in
but
party.
for crying out loud, why would Democrats not be at the front of that line?
Boy, that's a good question to ask.
I mean, listen, they love welfare. They love every other kind of handout. Why wouldn't they just be in love with
This
with this?
isn't a handout. This is following the contract that we have with
Yeah,
these
you know what?
characters.
Okay, that's what you say.
We're
To
not
me, it's a
begging for
handout.
anything. This is
To
our
me, it's a
due.
handout. And quite frankly, I'd be better off or I'd be
Well,
better.
back off then.
I
Yeah, right.
personally think we'd be better off if they just went away and left us alone and said, "Go ahead and do what you want."
Exactly. That's the plan B is sometimes better than plan A. Okay,
Yeah.
keep your dang money. Just
Well,
give us
but
back
yeah,
the
because
forest.
listen, the money thing. Here's the dirty little thing about the money: they suck you in, they make you dependent on them handing this stuff out, and then they slowly cut it down, and you go, "Hey, wait a minute, what's
Oxygen, I
going
can't
on here?"
breathe.
Yeah,
Exactly
right.
right.
And pretty soon you forgot how to breathe on your own.
Right.
And that's the problem with the ONC
Now, isn't
funds.
that what's happening with law enforcement in our area? We've got people that are out in the county that said,
Right.
I think I can handle this. And
Right.
they form neighborhood watch groups. It doesn't mean that because you've got some semi-automatic weapon that's going to stop your neighbor from molesting his children. That's not what that means. What it means
Well,
is we can handle a lot
neither
of our own problems. Now,
right,
I'm
yeah,
about to
but
come to a conclusion on this. I'm almost there.
okay.
And that is, there's people inside Grants Pass City who say, no, let's leave it all up to our local police. Why, anytime I've got a neighbor that's burning trash on the wrong day, I'm going to call the police, rather than going over and talking to your neighbor, not armed to the teeth, but talking to your neighbor about his barking dog and about other things that like people used to do in their communities. They would talk together in a community. There's so much of that hand it all over to government idea that people who don't do that, don't want to do that, don't want any part of that, are looking like crazy people. No, they're not crazy. This is the way the country was founded. This is who we are. This is why there may be people in Jackson County who are looking at us going, now wait a second. They're
Yeah.
able to do this, and they're happy with the amount of crime that they have, which is going down
Yeah.
all
Well,
over the country. And they don't need
here
to pay $2 per thousand.
yes, well, they don't quite have that message yet because
Nope.
they're being fed a constant stream of, wow, that Josephine County, you don't want to go over there, man. It's like that's like a Wild West over there.
Yeah,
You
you
might
got to
get
roll up your
shot.
windows when you go through Cave Jump.
Yes.
You got to better lock
And
your doors when you're
well,
on the
first,
highway.
first get yourself a nice deep breath because you're gonna have to hold your breath as you drive through there too.
Brother. And it's not helped. I saw the sheriff today, and I never pass up an opportunity to talk with the sheriff about what's going on here. And I said to him the same thing I said to the SOS group when they'd listen. And I said, The problem is, of course, there are people who are on our side, whatever that means. There are people on our side that occasionally will say something that's not the most brilliant. Okay, I'll admit that, even Mike. But, Sheriff, I said, the problem with the people who are pressing for the levy is they're saying things like that the bad guys are coming here, criminals are coming here. Somehow he had never heard this. He needs to watch this show. The criminals are coming here because they're motivated by the idea. What was that quote, Mike? That they're here for the sole purpose
Yes.
of creating
Yes.
hate and discontent.
I hate to be the one to break this to you, Dale.
Yeah.
But the sheriff did hear that. He was sitting in the room when that woman said that on the radio. He was on that program.
He was in the. Wow. Well, he said today that that was news to him.
Yeah.
Now
So
that I think about it,
our sheriff doesn't pay attention when he's in the room with people talking about the levy.
Well, no, not when you're talking about law enforcement and about the funding for it. Why would he pay attention to that?
Boy, that's...
Or maybe he just doesn't pay attention to the lies and the hyperbole. The apogee and perigee of hyperbole is just something that just doesn't strike him as important to know. Come on, I kind of like the guy anyway. For me, the jury is kind of out. He's on one side of the jury is out, and Wally Hicks is on the other side of the spectrum of the jury is out. Not quite sure about either one of these guys. I know there are people who say, oh, well, I hate both of them, I hate this guy, or I hate that, whatever, okay. They're still in love with Gil Gilbertson. Why? He was the most honest sheriff, oh, brother, that we've ever had. Gee, really, you haven't been paying attention sometimes. But yes, I get the idea. There's plenty of awful things about everybody, especially Mike. But the point is that that this guy, I said, you really need to pay attention to what some of your supporters are saying, because the supporters of the levy are saying, because they've said some pretty outrageous things that are absolutely impossible to be true. You can't say that the ISF is 0, 10.
So he didn't. So he.
Go ahead.
He didn't have anything to say about that, and you fed him that quote, and he said, well, I haven't heard that.
Maybe he was so busy thinking about what he was going to say next. I mean, there's some people like that.
Yeah, no, it could be.
What was that?
And listen. If you listen to that show, it's very, very clear that probably about half of the time they are reading off scripts.
Oh, it sure sounds like it. Yeah.
So he had his own script memorized, but he wasn't paying any attention to her script. I have a hard time believing that they don't sit around a table and talk about this. And
they have paid consultants. They paid them a bunch of money, tens of thousands of dollars, to tell them, here, put your fingers like this. I talked to him about that. I said, by the way, when you videotaped that, when you videotaped that thing, and you had your fingers like this, and he's looking at me like I had my fingers like, I said, yeah. Was your body coach in there with you? Well, there was nobody in there with me. You know what? I think the videographer and the lighting person was probably in the room with him. But he's talking in these phrases, and I said, that just didn't sound like you, Dave. That you were saying things that sounded like they were from a script, and you were holding your hands very carefully like this. What does this mean? Well, some people, oh, that means power. It's like wearing the red tie with the white shirt, And I said, and they're playing this sad music in the background. He's kind of like, well, yeah, they did do that. So little by little, he was sort of giving in on the fact that we're sort of, just very slightly now, we're sort of being manipulated, and they're kind of trying to tell us you ought to be afraid, but we're not telling you ought to be afraid. They're doing them both at the same time.
Yes, but you know what? I mean, if this stuff is all scripted, we're not hearing from our sheriff when we're hearing him on these things. We're hearing from his handlers, or whatever. I mean, that's a little bothersome to me. I would have hoped for better than that.
Well, he insists that none of it was scripted.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, that's interesting.
That's what he says.
Mm-hmm.
I told him it's kind of sounded scripted to me, Dave. I like the guy despite all this, okay? I liked some parts of Gil Gilbertson. He lied to me a couple of times directly straight to my face.
Right.
So that bothered me. But, everybody draws their line somewhere differently. You have friends that occasionally don't tell you the truth. I don't mean little things like, do I look fat in this dress? No, Dale, you probably shouldn't be wearing a dress at all. I don't mean that kind of stuff. What I mean is, that tells you, right is wrong, up is down, that kind of stuff. And it's obviously completely wrong, and you've got them on tape and on eyewitnesses and documents, and you know that it's wrong, and still they're saying this to you.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't like that kind of stuff. And while I'm finding him to be somewhat, sorry, Dave, a little manipulative, but he believes for a good cause, okay, he hasn't lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this with these politicians these days, and he is a politician, with these politicians these days, that's a net positive. I'll take that over the alternatives.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little bothered. I can't get past the you know
Where he said he wasn't
him being
scripted.
there
Yeah.
and not knowing. No, him being there and not knowing that she's saying that. Certainly he was there. He heard him talking about ISIS and stuff. Come on, if somebody's saying that, you you couldn't have been in the same room with headphones on, no less, in an isolated environment, and not hear that and go, yeah, that might be a little over the top.
Just a little bit over the top, right? Right. I mean
Yeah,
that's from crazy land kind of stuff.
yeah,
The
yeah.
criminals are coming into the county with the sole purpose of not crime, of sowing the seeds of hate and discontent. Really?
And listen, I suspect that they talked about it, and that's the best way to get right into the core of a certain demographic. In other words, you're appealing to particular people, and this may be little old ladies that are scared in their house. Oh no, oh, the evil people are here to sow discontent and hatred. Perhaps that is the target for that. I don't know.
Well, what happened
Uh,
to the good old days, as Keith Eck had pointed out, not that long ago, where somebody would be misbehaving, according to Keith Heck, at a weekly business session or any other place, there used to be a way to deal with this. Yeah, we know what that way was, Keith. Take them out back and beat the hell out of them.
or something. Yeah.
Or run them out of town. Or run them over to Jackson County and drop them off.
Right.
Or take them over the border. Busloads of them to sow hate and discontent somewhere else. Really?
That's right.
This is what
That's right.
criminals now do? Boy, I'm missing the boat.
Yes.
They're not
Yeah,
interested in
you
stealing
know what?
things.
I don't think they thought that anybody was going to analyze that statement at all. They
Well,
just said, well, you know what? We're going to get away with saying all this stupid stuff because,
sound
this is
bites.
a feel-good thing. And listen, there
No,
isn't
no,
any
it's a
question
feel
that,
bad thing. It's a
yes, but
feel bad thing.
no, I understand, but they're trying to establish this situation where pro-levy, good, anti-levy, bad.
Well, here's the
And
thing I'll put out to the
and
audience.
so if
Right.
you're
Put
for
it
the
up.
levy, you're a
Yes.
good person.
Oh,
But if you're against the levy, you're a bad person, and don't ever say that in public without extreme shame. Come
here's the
on.
thing I put out to our audience. We've They're now describing Mike and I and people like us of our ilk. Okay, the Ilks Club. They're now describing us as purveyors of doom and gloom. We're the purveyors of doom and gloom? Who's saying that we've got a high crime rate? Who's saying that we're all going to hell in a handbasket? Who's saying that people are being assaulted in the street? Which sheriff said that we have a 9% record of homes being broken into? That was Sheriff Gil Gilbertson. Remember that guy? Oh, I love that guy. Hey, that's what he told you. And then he had to take it all back. It was all false. He was telling people this. We're not the ones that are telling. In fact, we're on the other side. I'm tired of these
Yeah,
commissioners
yeah,
and the
but
sheriff
Dale,
tearing down our community.
the only difference between Gil Gilbertson and this crowd is these
Yeah.
guys are a bit more slick.
Oh, okay.
They've got better production
Yeah.
values going on.
Yeah.
There's obvious. Listen, you know what? I want to see the spreadsheet on this. I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to see who's paying for this. Where's it coming? How many places removed is this donor company that pumped money in there? And you follow that a couple of names back to find out who it is that is actually
But
putting the
Mike,
money
don't you
in.
know that if you get that entire list of who
Hmm.
their donors are, and I know who you're looking for in there, or what
Hmm.
kinds of groups you're looking for, they're simply going to say, why? Those numbers that you have, they're not telling the full story. You know, there's a lot of dark money coming
Well,
into our
oh,
organization.
oh, yes, right. Yeah, but then and of course we haven't found this yet, so I mean we're really getting quite a bit ahead of ourselves. But
Yeah, good luck with finding it.
but the thing is that if you did look into it and discover these suspect um, entities, a couple of places removed, um, that's an indication of something. And so the question would be, why are you doing that? Why are you trying to make it difficult for us to find out who it is that's funding this?
I want to
You know?
know who trained the attack dog. Of course, I want to know that. But what I do know in the meantime, before I find out who trained him, is bit me like 7 times. That that's
Yeah.
all I really need to know.
Depends on
Believe it
who
or
you
not.
talk to. Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. I think that what is it? It's like yeah, seven to nine times, depending on what you're talking about.
Well, how many times will people? Why haven't you made up your mind? There's somebody in this audience that hasn't made up their mind. What's the matter with you? Whether it's pro or con, feel free to make up your mind. But
I don't think that's I don't think that's true.
that there are people
I
who haven't
personally,
made.
in this audience, I think
Oh,
most anybody that's watching this show is either pro levy or anti levy,
well, I just
and
said that. That's what I was saying. Okay, all right.
are probably not going to change
My
it.
point is that if you're on the pro levy side, how do you feel about the fact? Well, you're all lying all the time. No, 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 no. We're talking about really simple things. Let's just take Mark Gatlin as an example. How do you feel that about Mark Gatlin being on your side and then telling people when they were signing these petitions that there is no ISF that's going to be taken out of the sheriff's budget, and then because he gets to keep all the money? How do you feel
They
about
don't
that?
care. They don't care, Dale.
Wow.
They don't care. You know, and this is a strange circumstance that usually only happens with Democrats. But
This time it's happening all with Republicans,
oh yeah,
nothing but Republicans.
no, that's not true. I got to tell you, there is a blending. There's people that I'm seeing that are coming up. Well, I'm a conservative Republican, and
No,
yet
they're not. You
yeah,
can't.
they're
I'm
not.
more of a conservative Republican than they are.
No, it's amazing that the lines are completely blurred
Wow.
in this county with local politics. It's an amazing thing.
You're either part of the old boys network or you're not. That's real county politics. And the choice of the old boys network in this town is cough up the money. We've got the money. Certainly you have the money. We all have the money. Let's just all vote for the levy. Let's march lockstep toward voting for the levy. Please. This paid political announcement brought to you by Pat Fahey.